All right, guys, how is it going? It is February 7th. A little bit chilly for my taste here, I'll tell you that. I think this is the first actual winter we've seen in Southern California in a very long time. Not used to all this rain and cold. Anyway, last week we had a great call. I had some stuff pre-prepared and I never got to it. We just, kept getting into everybody's stuff, which was awesome. So I encourage that. Anything that you need help with, assistance on, this is the place for it. We've got a few people that have. It's like the light bulb has gone on recently on selling SEO services, selling SEO services, which has been a very tough thing for a very long time just because of the way the whole industry has gone. But with our new SitePop product, that's the new reinvention of our Rainmaker software, it actually allows to do local SEO campaigns very, very inexpensively. We've got one of our resellers down in San Diego. He's the one I'm talking about. Like, the light bulb totally came on in a conversation this week. I said, look, on the agency version of this thing, you can buy the campaigns for like $4 a piece. You can resell those for $197 a piece, or even more. And it's been a long time since you could actually do provide an SEO campaign at that kind of a price. So for anybody that is in that realm, I know we've got a few people in our group that SEO services is, that's kind of their mainstay, their bread and butter. And it allows you to really, bring on a boatload of new customers. It's hard to acquire SEO customers because one of two things: they either have been burnt so badly over the years, or they've got somebody that's currently working on it for them. This actually eliminates both of those problems because, first of all, the one thing it eliminates is it eliminates the problem of being burnt. This is such a low-cost deal. It's really, really easy to sell. The other thing is if they've got somebody that's already doing their SEO, they can layer this right on top, and it's so inexpensive. I mean, you can charge anything you want. The campaigns cost you $4 a piece. You could charge $97, $197, whatever you want. So if somebody is spending, $500, $600, $700 or more a month on an SEO project, and you come in and you say, hey, for $97 more, you can layer this on top, it will make everything they're doing 10 times more effective. It's a really easy door opener. And then once you slide in that way, they're going to be looking to you as the one that actually made it happen, not the SEO company that they're spending a bunch of money with. So they're going to want to turn their focus to you. So it's a really cool thing for anybody that's in that space. All of our resellers, I would be putting those kind of campaigns together. You can also, it makes an easy way to guarantee SEO. You could do, an SEO campaign that you can guarantee it, guarantee results. That's been very difficult to do, as you guys know, in the SEO world. But the way you could do it, the guarantee would have to be based on some criteria, obviously. First criteria being that they actually run the devices, they put it on their cell phones, their mobile devices and all that, so they get the credit, so they're getting the actual user visits. And the others, they've got to give it 90 days. So let's say you charge them $97, your guarantee is in that first 90 days, they're going to see results, or you do it for free until they do. So, you've collected $97 for 3 months. You've got $300 basically, and it's costing you $4 a month. So I don't think you would ever have to, enforce that and actually run it for free, because you should get results very quickly with this. But even if you had to, worst case scenario, you run it for a month or two till you get the results, and it costs you $4 a month. They've already paid you $300. It's pretty much a no-brainer. So anyway, that's something. Another thing I want to talk about too, if you guys have anything, go ahead and feel free to unmute and hop out. But this is something that I've seen with a lot of our apprentices. You know, we're trying to move really fast with the apprentice program, and we're trying to get ad campaigns up and running and effective. And I'm allowing them to take some shortcuts. And it's, you know, ultimately, a lot of times the shortcuts cost us. We just started running a Facebook ad for Gary, and we got like $150 into the ad spend, and we realized, hey, this is not converting like we had thought. So what we did, we took a look at a couple of the competitors and found out we were way off the mark with what they were doing, what they were being successful with. And we would have caught that had he done the competitive analysis in the first section. And he didn't. We just jumped over it because he told me he knew his audience and all that. So I really want to reiterate how important all these little steps and analysis are before you move into creation. We've got, I mean, I've come across all kinds of people. They start creating videos, they start creating landing pages, creating entire websites, spending a ton of money getting this stuff done, and they don't have the messaging right yet. And it costs them in many ways, sometimes going back and having to recreate all that stuff. We've got Melody on here. I'm working with her right now. She's coming out of the gate pushing speaking. And I'm like, Melody, these people want to grow their business. They're scared to death of speaking. You're not going to grab them. You're not going to hold their attention. You've got to attack it a different way. So we've respun the messaging to actually grab their audience, and what they really want. They really want more customers. They really want to leverage that power. They want to influence buying decisions. And yes, speaking is a way to do that. But if we lead with that, we're going to blow everybody out of the gate before we even get started. So that's the whole point of the big idea. If you don't get a big idea that grabs them and pulls them into your marketing message, you won't even get a chance. They won't take the first step because you didn't grab them where they were. So that's why all this stuff is so important. A lot of times your competitors have spent a bunch of money, especially if they've been in business for any length of time. If they've been running ad campaigns, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to run an ad campaign for very long if they're losing money. So they have spent the money, they've made the mistakes, they've taken the time and done the effort to figure out, hey, what is working for us? So do the competitive research, look at them, see what they're doing, see what their messaging is. Sometimes you'll find that they are off. They might be skipping from one ad to the next, not ever finding something that lands. And if that's the case, then you go back and you look to the avatar and you try and figure it out yourself. But, you never want to recreate the wheel. If somebody's already done the work and they figured it out, you can leverage that. You take whatever they've done, they've handed you a gift, you take that, you roll that forward. You expand upon it, you make it better. That's where unique mechanism comes in. If everyone's saying the same thing, it all becomes diluted and ineffective. That's where, you leverage them to figure out, hey, what's grabbing their attention? What's leading them in? What is working for this competitor? And then you want to come up with a unique mechanism that actually shows you are different. This is your differentiator. And it's the unique mechanism is what delivers the result of the desired outcome. Timeline, the timeline exercise in the avatar creation. That's where you figure that out. You figure out, where your customer is right now, what they're feeling, all their wants, emotions, and beliefs. And then you look at the end of the timeline. What do they really want? Do they want to, and a lot of times it'll be a superficial answer if you just ask them. So you've got to ask them in multiple ways. Like you might ask somebody, hey, what do you really want out of your business? And they might say, well, I want to make $1 million this year. And, that's a superficial answer. Say, that's awesome. What do you want that for? Why is it that you want that? Why is $1 million important to you? What's that going to do? And when you start answering those questions, you'll be getting closer to the reality of what you need, because that's what they're in the end of their timeline is. It's not just $1 million. It's what does that get them? You know, is that going to allow them the freedom to take their family on vacation? Is that going to allow them the freedom to spool up staff so they don't have to work as hard? Is that going to be allowing them to, you know, put a team in place so they can actually take that vacation and they can come home 2 weeks later and not have to wonder if their business is imploded? You know, is that what the $1 million is? Because it's never just the $1 million. It's always what it does. So, you know, the benefits, when we talk about benefits, never talk about features. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what it is. They care about what it does. You know, and the ultimate thing is nobody cares really about even the $1 million. It's what it does. You know, you could give somebody $1 million in a glass box that sits on their desk that they couldn't get a hold of, and it wouldn't do them any good. The $1 million is so they can take it out of the box and they can do something with it. So the timeline is figuring out, what is that? You know, where do they really want to go? The $1 million is only the vehicle that will get them there. You know, so I have a funny little thing that I've told clients and prospects this for many, many years. I say, you know, anybody that says money can't buy happiness just clearly doesn't know where to shop. And it's so true. So that's something you want to keep in mind. The timeline is everything. You know, when you know the timeline, you know where they are and you know where they want to go. And that puts you in a powerful position for communication. Because if you want to influence buying decisions and you don't know that, you go in without that, you're just hunting and pecking. You know, you're trying to figure it out. You can't be powerful if you're trying to figure it out. You know, what you can do, if that's the case, you can try and be helpful. But until you know, if you go in and you already have what's in their head and you enter that conversation, they're going to instantly bond with you. And it's going to be like, you know, they've known you for years, and it's going to flow a lot better. You're going to make a lot more influence doing it that way. So anyway, okay, we've got a question here from George, and it looks like he just hopped on. Do you want me to go ahead and answer that, or do you have specific questions related to your situation? George, let me unmute you there. Are you with us? I guess he's not with us. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and answer his question. He's put a site together, you know, trying to build a business around hosting, and it's called Host Advisor. The problem with it is when I went on to the site itself, it's not really all that friendly. Like, it's got a search box, search for hosting. And one of the things is, again, this comes back to the analysis and the avatar creation. If somebody needs hosting, they probably don't really know what they need. I kind of paged through here. I started to put in the search WordPress hosting, and nothing came back. There was no recommendations, said results not found. So, you know, I think your customers, probably a lot of people, most people that are hunting for hosting are more than likely using WordPress. So that's a big, big pitfall right out of the gate. Another thing about hosting here is, you know, again, they don't really know what they're looking for. So you've got to help them. People want direction. So if you made, you know, turn the site into, hey, you know, if you're looking for WordPress hosting, this is what I would recommend, and this is why this is important to you. There is a ton of hosts out there. I mean, I do hosting myself. I've had a hosting company since 1995, and I still host today. You know, it's a small portion of my business, but I still have, you know, a couple hundred hosting customers. And why they stay with me is because of a few different things. First of all, one is reliability. Secondly is they've got somebody that knows what they're doing that they can actually talk to. And those are huge things. The other thing is, if you are interested in search engine optimization, one of the biggest things today is speed. It's site speed, load time. And if you're on one of those cheap $2, $5, even $9 a month hosting plans, what they do, the only reason they can even provide that service at that price is they take, 500 sites and they stack them all on one server. And yeah, 400 of the sites probably don't have much traffic, so that's not a problem. But the other 100 might. And all it takes is one guy as a resource hog to hog up all the resources of that server, and now all those other 499 sites slow to a crawl. When that happens, when they slow to a crawl and Google comes looking, Google gets a bad experience. And they say, yeah, that's not a good site. That's not a good user experience. When your visitors come and they hit your site, especially on mobile devices, they're going to bounce off. If they're not getting what they want lickety split, they're going to hit the back button. They're going to be out of there, and that's going to send another signal back to Google that you're providing a poor user experience. So site speed, the last thing that you want to do is to try and take, your site and put it on a $2 hosting account. That's going to dump 500 or even 1,000 other websites on there, and they're all going to compete for the server resources and the bandwidth, because it just doesn't work. What made those sites or those hosting companies really popular is the whole internet marketing space, where, people were creating private blog networks, and they needed to host, 500 sites. They didn't want to pay real hosting costs for that. But then everybody thought, oh, well, I can just run my real business site on a $2 hosting too. And guess what? It's costing you. No real business owner out there would trust a $2 or even a $10 a month hosting account. Would they put their business in the hands of something cheap like that? No. I've gotten a ton of customers that way. In fact, almost every commercial client I've got, we host them. And it's because of that. They've had issues. So, they've also security. A lot of those sites, they don't put the secure certificates on the sites. There's all kinds of, related issues. Because, think about it. How much are they going to give you for $2 a month, or $5 a month? What do you expect? You get what you pay for. So if you're running this site, you could potentially educate them to those kind of problems. So when somebody comes onto that site, they're actually getting advice, which is what they're looking for. If somebody's looking for a host and they're looking at a site like this, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They're looking for advice. So unless you're providing that, if you just give them a list of, 10,000 of these cheap hosts and they have to choose one, that's not very user friendly. You're not really providing much of a service there. And I know you've probably got affiliate links that go through to those, but why wouldn't you just want to take like one premium host and have them as your go-to, and and make that your recommendation and say, this is why I'm recommending them. This is what's important to my customers. It's what should be important to you. And I've spent a ton of time and money over the years finding these guys, and this is what I recommend. That would gain you business, and now you'll get referral money off of those hosting accounts every month. So that's kind of one of the ways I would go about that. And anything like that, if you apply the ACT program to anything you're doing, it doesn't matter if it's affiliate marketing or creating a product. If you just apply the program, you'll see it is all about the person on the other end. What do they want? Why do they want it? And how can you help them get it? If they're looking for a host, what's important about that? Again, it's like the $1 million in the bucket. It wasn't really the $1 million that they wanted. It was what it did for them. They probably want a solid, reputable website that is there for them 24/7. They don't have to worry about going down, that will serve their customers just like they want to do with their own business. They don't want some slow, dumpy site that their customers are going to get frustrated with and go visit their competitor and get a great experience. That's what should be important to them. And a lot of times, if you look at another thing in our avatar lessons, is the pyramid of awareness. A lot of people are at the base of that pyramid. They're completely unaware of what the problems are. So when you show them what the problems are, you're showing them what should be important to them. You're educating them. When you take that role as the educator, you get the opportunity to create buying criteria. When you create the buying criteria, you're creating beliefs in that customer that is in alignment with buying your products. Instead of creating beliefs that are in alignment with an objection, you're actually creating objections for any other competitor that you've got. It's like when you teach them how to buy something, you're teaching them how to buy it from you. And your criteria should not match anyone else on the planet. So you can look at the competitors and you can see what they're doing, and you can create buying criteria that creates an objection to that and eliminates one for you. That is the ultimate way to go into a sales system, is eliminating objections and creating beliefs that are in accordance with purchasing your product. That is an awesome thing to do, and it's not that difficult once you figure out what it is that's important to them, or even what should be important to them, and you teach them that. You teach them why it's important and what the outcome is, what the benefits are, what it's going to get them. So anyway, that again, it all kind of comes back to the system. This system, the whole ACT program, the ACT system, the reason it works in any niche across any board is because it's been around for over 100 years. Ad agencies, this is the process that they use to make sure they don't miss. You can imagine if you went to an ad agency and you spent $100,000, you don't expect them to be learning something. You expect them to be able to deliver. And they are able to deliver on a very, very consistent basis because they follow this type of a protocol. They might have different little nuances to it, but I guarantee you, they're not creating ads, they're not creating slogans, they're not creating logos until they've done the analysis. They're gonna do market surveys. They're gonna figure out if your market actually exists. Is there someone that they're actually talking to? And if so, what's important to that person? So again, it's why they do it the way they do it. They've been around for a very long time. I've kind of dissected and looked at all the different processes of the ad agencies to figure out, okay, how are these guys doing it so successfully, so consistently? And it's just that. It's because they follow that formula. And when I unraveled each piece to what they do, I tried to chase it back to where it began. And one of the ones, the most fascinating one that I've discovered yet, is how to eliminate an objection. I tracked that back to Benjamin Franklin. 276 years ago, he was trying to sell a wood-burning stove, rather. And admittedly, he had the worst product on the market. There was other competitors that had a far better wood-burning stove. But because of this formula he created, he was able to outsell them like they weren't even there. And it was because he could eliminate the objections. And he did it with a simple formula. And the formula was claim, proof, benefit. As we know, every objection is based on a belief. Your customers have beliefs, whether they're right or not, whether they're in alignment with you or not. They've got beliefs. They're there. They're pre-installed. Who knows where they got them? It's from a lifetime of experience, but they're there. So if they have a belief that is contrary to purchasing your product, they're probably not going to buy it. So what you've got to do, just like Benjamin Franklin, you've got to be able to reverse that belief and put it into your favor. You've got to change the belief and make it create more demand and desire for your product. That's when they'll make a purchase. So again, claim, proof, benefit. You make a claim contrary to their existing belief that is in favor of your product or service. Now, a claim on its own is just that. It goes like, water off the back of a duck. So the reason the proof comes in is so you can change the claim to something that's reality. Proof is undisputed. When you have proof, whether it's real proof or hocus pocus, when somebody decides in their mind that, hey, okay, I believe that, guess what? You just changed their belief. Regardless of what it was based on, you changed their belief. And then when you change the belief, now it's headed in your favor. We throw in the final step. It's claim, proof, benefit. So we've reversed the belief. Now they're believing they actually want it and there's no reason not to have it. So that's the perfect time to come in and attach it to the benefits. And again, not features, attach it to the benefits. When you attach it to the benefits, you're keyed in on where they want to go. You're keyed in on their desired outcome on their timeline. That's why the stuff is so important, that you get all the pieces right. You get them done, and then when you start creating your ad campaigns, it will flow like magic. So claim, proof, benefit. That was Benjamin Franklin's formula that is still used in ad agencies today. There's a much more powerful formula that I found actually to increase the effectiveness of your benefits. And that is three-dimensionalizing the benefits. And that's so you can hear it, see it, and feel it. And that's exactly what a car salesman will do. They want to put you in the seat. They want to let you drive the car so you can hear it, see it, and feel it. That's why they're so effective. That's why that's the first thing they'll do. When you come on a car lot, they'll figure out what car you're interested in, and then let's go for a test drive. Because once you've heard it, seen it, and felt it, your desire to take it home is through the roof. You're picturing now, what it feels like. You're picturing it in your driveway. You're picturing what it feels like to come out every morning, and you've already experienced it. So that feeling is real. So that's three-dimensionalizing the benefits, and that takes that claim, proof, benefit, and it just pushes it to the max. So if you want a really powerful way to close sales, when it comes to the objections, understand what they are, eliminate them, and throw three-dimensionalized benefits on the end of it. And you shouldn't have to do anything other than that. After that is ask for the order. That's it. If they say no at that point, then there's clearly another objection you haven't identified yet. So, all right, I've been kind of rambling on about stuff here. Anybody got questions? You can go ahead and unmute and come out.
John.
Hey, go ahead, Gregory.
Okay, well, I haven't launched my training program because I've been watching, and you just mentioned it right now, your competitors, and I went and made a list of my competitors, and they're like 20
Okay.
various schools, trading schools, individuals, whatnot. And you're right, they have their messaging and they have their materials and whatnot. And so it's kind of like I'll be swimming in the right direction, but they're so far ahead of me, and I make more money if I just focus on my trading. And you just made the claim, proof, benefit. So my claim is, yeah, it works. Benefit, or not the benefit, the proof is what's happening now, and then working toward that benefit thing. So I don't know what my question was leading to, but the bottom line is that you're right on to the point of the other. Oh, that was it. It's standing out to be super different. And that's the other reason that I've been looking at all these other peoples and how they're presenting their stuff. How can I be differentiated from them in doing it? And so the question actually comes up, how much free do you give before you actually stop free?
Okay, cool. No, that's actually a great question. Free is a great thing on the front end. And what you want to do is, like, if you've got, let's say you've got a training product and you're going to show somebody, I know this is pretty close to being on point for you. You've got a training program and it's going to show somebody how to get the ultimate benefit of what they want. So the timeline, part of the timeline, and this is what helps you create your lead magnets and figuring out what's going to interest them. So if you break out the timeline of where they are and ultimately where your training is going to take them, you've got a path there. You've got a bunch of steps they're going to have to take. So in a lot of different systems, they have to take one step first. So if you created a free thing, maybe a free training or free tutorial on how to do that first thing, and you allow them to take that step, their confidence that they're going to be able to get there is going to go up. And so is their desire to make a purchase. Because the closer you get them to that end goal, the more they're going to want it. If they're far away, their demand and desire is probably not high. You want to get them as close to where you can peak that as possible. So the more you give them, like if you look at Frank Kern did a phenomenal launch back, over 10 years ago when he sold Mass Control, and he gave away probably 90% of the program in over 4 weeks of training. He did a 4-week launch. And every week he would come out with, here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. And he gave you, like I said, 90% of what was in the program, what you got in the box, he gave it away for free. He sold the program, the remaining 10% piece, he sold it for $2,000. He had, I believe he had 1,000 units to sell. And when he opened the shopping cart, he sold it out in 20 minutes. So it was $2 million in sales in 20 minutes. Now, he had done a masterful job at leading them up to the fact that this is going to be available. It's scarcity. There's only 1,000, and there's 5,000 people here that all want it. So only 1,000. 1 out of 5 of you is going to be able to get this. So when he opened the shopping cart, and he did a countdown, so everybody in the sequence that was learning this stuff, they knew this is it. This is the day. This is the time. This is my opportunity, and the window's going to be short. I mean, there was people on there that they were at work and they couldn't do it. So they had like their wives or their friends or something with their credit card ready to buy the thing when it went live, because it literally sold out in 20 minutes. So you can give a lot of free away, just don't give away everything. Like if you're going to give away pieces to it, and I was working with Melody this week, on she's got a speaker training is really what she's delivering, but we've packaged it into celebrity status where you can use that celebrity status to influence buying decisions, because that's more appealing than when you come out and you say, oh, I can turn you into a speaker. Everybody's going to go, oh shit, no way. I don't want to speak. I don't want to be in front of people. I don't want any part of that. So she's got a huge hurdle to get over there. So she's got to grab them for what they really want. They want to make a lot more sales. I've got her into the whole thing, the whole conversation of, you're already making sales, you're already making presentations, you're doing it one-on-one. You could make the same presentation to many at the same time, and you could tenfold your sales, which is what they want. And since it's the same thing they're already doing, they're not seeing it as some new scary thing. So it's just in the positioning of it. It's in figuring out the psychology of what the person wants and what they don't want. What is their objections going to be? And a major objection is, people, it's a proven thing. People have been surveyed on this. They would rather die by fire than get up and speak in front of a group of people. That's the reality of that belief. most people have that belief for whatever reason. It's probably from when they were very young in school. They had a bad experience. They stuttered when they were called upon to give an answer and the kids laughed at them. Whatever it might be, that's a real belief that is in there. They've got that. You've got to overcome that. You can't go, trudging head forth into that. It's not going to be successful. So anyway, that's kind of the whole point to that. You got to get the message right. Messaging is everything. And it kind of got off the rails there, but did that kind of answer the question for you?
Oh yeah, a lot more than you think. Really,
Yeah.
it's by claim and proof, and the benefit, and then looking for that target audience. So
Yeah, but
right now I'm working on claiming the claim and the proof.
okay, awesome. Yeah, but it really all falls back to the underlying system. If you take it step by step, it's going to be rock solid. The only thing that will happen is if you guess on certain stuff, you might be wrong. You might have to go back and tweak something. But if you follow through, even if if you know the industry, and this is what we led with Gary with, because he thought he knew his industry, but what he knew was he knew a different variation of the industry. So he didn't look at what the competitors. He's got a competitor that's just kicking butt. Guy's making a ton of money in his niche, and it's because he's figured out the messaging, because he's figured out what they want and how to deliver it to them. So if he would have looked at that first, we would have been hitting a different target audience. We would have been hitting them with a slightly different message. And we learned a lot from the ads that we ran. We only spent like $150 to run the initial campaign, but we learned a tremendous amount from it. We learned what phrases they grabbed and what images attracted them. And one of the things that we split tested, it was a big role, and I've used this in the past for my presentations, the role of money being printed off the money printing machine. Because in sales, salespeople, they like the idea of turning their computer into an ATM system, where they can pull cash out of it. That messaging has been attractive to almost everybody that's in home-based type businesses. It doesn't appeal to the manufacturers. They look at it as though it's bullshit. But if you talk about the little guy that's going to run a small business out of his home or a small office or anything like that, and you give him the idea that, hey, you can do some stuff that will automate a system that will literally turn your laptop into a cash machine or an ATM, that messaging is right on point for them. That's what they want. They want easy. They're tired of working hard. They're tired of making cold calls. So we found that one. We got that piece right, but it was just some of the other stuff that we were missing. So now when we come back, we should be able to put a fairly effective campaign in place for it. So again, you really can't go wrong when you follow the system. It's when you shortcut and you jump ahead and you start creating stuff without getting all that stuff right. Let's see. Chris wants to know best way to use the software. How many times per day should it hit a site? How many copies should we run for a given client? Okay, what it does, every device in the system, like if you have a laptop or an Android device, what it's going to do is it's going to get you about roughly 17 searches a day. Your device is going to do 17 searches on the network for other people, and collectively their devices are going to give you about 17 searches back for your site. What we have found is 500 for, and this is on average for, mostly for local sites and things of that nature. 500 is where it really moves the needle. So you need 3 devices plugged into the network to get that. So that's like the sweet spot. So if you're even on a new site that doesn't look abnormal, and it, when you get that 500 really positive user experiences, that what we found really does. I mean, that's the sweet spot that'll move the needle pretty quickly. So if you're using, like, let's say you're going after a higher competition, more of a national type thing, you might just need more campaigns hitting either the same keywords or, the same branding. So you could create 2 campaigns. You've got 12 keywords each campaign. You've got different brand variations. I would probably use the same brand variations on both campaigns. You could even use the same keywords if you wanted to. And then what you do, you've got to have 6 devices connected now. So that's going to give you up to 1,000 searches on that site. You probably don't need that much power if you're talking about a site that doesn't have, a lot of traffic, or rather an industry that doesn't have a lot of traffic. Like most local businesses, if you've got 500 searches a month going into a local business, you're probably going to kick butt on all the competitors in there. And the big thing that it's doing is it's doing what we call revised search. Revised search is kind of the key to this technology. And what that means is it'll run a search for the keyword, knowing well that you don't rank for it, and it'll page a couple pages deep in Google. And then what it'll do, it'll step back and it will do a revised search for your keyword and the brand name. Now, most all of the time, you'll come up on the first page, if not the first, the second, and that way, they'll click on you. So with the brand and the keyword, that is basically where the magic happens. When it connects that, it connects the dots. So that's really kind of the beauty behind this whole system, is the fact that it does all the things that is in Google's patent, and it's learning. Its algorithm is learning with artificial intelligence. It's learning, hey, when somebody runs a search and they don't find what they want, we didn't do a very good job. So they look at that person, they say, what did they want? When they ran that initial search, what were they looking for? So that is that's what you're trying to do, and that's what it does. And let's see, got 17. Oh, you're doing the math for me there. Okay, 3 devices will get you up to 17 searches a day. That's what the math comes out to. If you only have 1 device, you'll only get about 100 searches a month with 1 device connected. So if you've got 2 devices, I think the number there is about 250. And if you connect the 3rd device, it comes out to about 500 a month for 1 campaign. So that's the way it does. So I guess 3 of them gets you the 17 a day, which is about 500. So I was wrong on the math there. All right. So anyway, but that's what you want. Ultimately, you want 3 devices connected per campaign to really get the maximum benefit out of it. And then if you run it and you find, hey, this just isn't really doing what I want, I'm only on page 2 or page 3 and I need more, you can gauge that, by the results over the first month or 2. If you see that, hey, I need more juice, I need more power, just set up another campaign. You might need more devices. We found a really cool source for getting cell phones on liquidators.com. I think it was liquidators or liquidation.com. And it's kind of like they've also got them on Alibaba and some of these sites that sell overstock stuff. And you can find cell phones very, very cheap. Like we found a lot of 100 cell phones. These were brand new S9 Galaxies. So, they're charging like $600 a piece for those in the phone stores. We found a lot of 100 of them on there. And I think they wound up being about $8 a piece. So $800, we got 100 cell phones. So, yeah, it's crazy. You don't find those deals every day, but you might want to put a watch on it for that. And what you could do, you could set those phones up. Obviously, they don't have, connection to a cell service, but they do have Wi-Fi service. And that works just fine. So, you could take those to a homeless shelter. And, for women that, there's a lot of these groups where, women have to get put back on their feet and they're starting with nothing. And, you could take those to those kind of an organization, preload the thing on it and hand those out. Because that way, they're going to stay basically in that neighborhood more than likely. And that would really give you a major benefit. So pretty cool stuff. The other thing is, you could just give them to your clients. You could say, hey, plug this thing in your car, put it on the charger in your car, on your car phone charger, and just, let the thing run. Or if they've got a business, just plug it in, let it run off the Wi-Fi. And that way, if they're not happy with putting it on their own phone or whatever, there's no real reason not to do that. It's just an app. Basically, to them, it's going to look like an app that just checks their rank and gives them their ranking. So there's really no reason why they would want to do that, or why they would not want to do that, in fact. Yeah, Chris, you've got a free share for free Sprint service for a year. I'd love to hear about that. That would be cool. So yeah, anyway, that's, what we found in the past with the Rainmaker, when we did the first version of it, we had a lot of pushback from like legal clients, like anybody that had an office where they ran legal services or insurance, or anybody at all that had to deal with compliance. They did not want some app running on their computer that they were running their business for. And, rightfully so, because they've got laws and stuff they have to abide by. So I could totally see that. But here on their cell phone, it's not a big deal. And the cell phones, it's such a better signal to the search engines, because there's nothing more real than mobile devices. Those are real users out in the world doing what they do, which is teaching Google what they want. That's the whole purpose behind artificial intelligence, is to figure out, what do people want, so Google can provide it effectively. All right, so service for a year, port any number to it, get a number at T-Mobile for $13 and a $3 prepaid card plus $10 activation. Move that number to Sprint. You get a full 4G service for a year, and your dollars sell your gold. That's awesome. There's all kinds of little loopholes and stuff. The cell phone companies, they are competing. That's really interesting that T-Mobile would be doing that across with Sprint, because they've bought each other out. So they really, I think behind the scenes, I think not yet. They're in the process of that, still buying. Okay. I thought they'd already done that. So interesting. So maybe Sprint is doing that to become more attractive, so they get bought. That's might be kind of kind of what's behind that. So anyway, whatever the deal is, that's an open loophole for you guys. Free cell phone service for a year for very low cost. So pretty cool stuff. Oh, let's see what else. And again, that Rainmaker, or that, it's called SitePop now. That SitePop software, if you get the agency version, you've got 50 campaigns. We were talking about a campaign earlier with 3 devices connected to it. A lot of you wouldn't need that level. You could get the basic, which has 3 campaigns. But with 50, gives you a huge opportunity to resell. If you know other businesses that need, search ranking, it's a really easy way to sell them something very inexpensive with very little resistance. So That's a great door opener. You know, especially if you have other products for them, that's even a better door opener, because sometimes that door is hard to open. So gives you kind of an extra bullet in your gun there when you're going up to bat with them. All right. What? Anybody else? Anybody else got anything you want me to address here while we're at it? All right. That's good. George, hopefully I got you on track there. Happy to go deeper on any any other nuances you might want to cover there. If you don't have a microphone, you can always type it in the chat, and I can answer it that way. All right, guys. Well, anything else before we close out for today? Getting ready to do oh, so it must be a different George. Okay, we had a George from Australia that sent in an email question this morning, so I guess it was a different one. All right, guys. Everybody seems to be good for today, so we'll go ahead and close up shop here. We'll be back on next week, I believe, regular time. I'm going to be out the following weekend at the big fireworks show at Havasu. We go out to that every year. It's a phenomenal show. If you like fireworks, Lake Havasu on President's Day weekend is the place to be. So anybody interested in going out and joining me out there, you're all welcome to do so. It's pretty much a free event. I think it's $5 to get a seat in the stadium, and it's probably the most awesome thing you'll ever see this year. So, all right, cool. So we'll be on next week, like I said, regular time Thursday. If you have any questions between now and then, just go ahead and shoot me an email.
What day is that fireworks at Lake Havasu?
It is going to be next Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, I got family in town. I'll check with them. Thank you. And
Yeah,
Craig Dustfall's talking Monday at City Club, Costa Mesa.
Oh, okay.
I think Melanie set it up.
Oh, cool.
Because that's her chapter.
Yeah, it must be part of her Orange County chapter thing.
Yes. Right. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll be on here next week for you.